Let me ask you something. Are you getting everything out of your rent-to-own business? If you're not an A-Pro member, then the answer is probably no. Look, advocacy is A-Pro's bread and butter. This is why they were created and what they do best. But here's the thing. A-Pro membership is about way more than advocacy. A-Pro connects you to the movers and the shakers of the industry, people who've been there, done that, and they can help you do it even better. A-Pro's monthly webinars give you expert insights and actionable takeaways. It's like having a masterclass for your business every single month. Got questions about complex regulations or sticky situations? No problem. A-Pro's legal hotline gives you direct access to experts who have got the answers. That's a peace of mind that you can't put a price on. And let's not forget the resources, news, updates, and tools that keep you ahead of the curve. Scholarships for your team? Check. Disaster relief when you need it most? Double check. A-Pro is your ultimate support system in the rent-to-own world. So stop settling for less. With A-Pro, members get more. More support, more connections, and more success. Head over to rtohq.org and join the A-Pro family today. Because in this business, more isn't just better. It's essential. See you at the top with A-Pro.
Welcome to the RTO Show with Danny and Pete. I'm your host, Danny.
And I'm your host, Pete. And today we're talking about how to overcome failure and keep going. And that's not a good topic sometimes, man. You come out of the fourth quarter, you have a lot going on, right? And then what happens? What happens if you didn't have a good fourth quarter, Danny?
Well, when you say that, the first thing that comes to my mind is Dory from Finding Nemo. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, And, it's such a cliche thing to say, but it's true, man. You got to keep going. You can't let it go. Everyone experiences failures in life, but failure is life's greatest teacher.
Well, I don't think you can get on and do the right thing without it. So you can't succeed without failure. And this topic was brought to us by Radimus Robles. He is a GM that works under a CPL group, and he wanted to talk about how to overcome failure and keep going. And I think we have a couple of different podcasts that kind of in the past that we've done that would kind of approach how to be successful. But I think one of the things is if you're not, and you didn't make it, and not necessarily make it, but you weren't as successful as you thought you were, or you had a really rough time, how do you take that beating, get up, and keep going? And I know that you got a couple of favorite memes out there that we're going to go into, but I know, man, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes life, rent-to-own especially, comes down, and it's not always easy. It's not always easy to retain customers. It's not always easy to grow your rental revs. It's not always easy to keep, that profit up and your credit down. And what we want to talk to you guys today about is overcoming those failures, and where do you go from there?
I know with us, January is always the big evaluation time, and we let our managers know how they did for the year. And some managers get super nervous, and it's understandable, especially if you had a rough year. If you can have a great fourth quarter. I know I was talking about the fourth quarter a lot last season because we're approaching it, and now we're in the first quarter. The first quarter is just as important as the fourth quarter because you can have an explosive fourth quarter, but had such a loss in that previous year's first quarter that you still take a loss in the year, even though you grew, if that makes sense. So, and that's why there's a whole 12-month evaluation to see how did you do for the whole year. And, I think everyone kind of looks for that fourth quarter as like a saving grace. Like, yeah, I know the first 9 months sucked, but hey, look what I did the last 3 months. Please don't fire me.
Well, I think when I look at the fourth quarter and the first quarter, I look at the fourth quarter like a ladder, and the first quarter is like a shovel. And depending on how much you dig yourself in, or are you building a mountain, or are you building a trench? And then, the fourth quarter, you always use as a bailout with that ladder, but how big is your ladder, right?
So ironically, the way I look at the calendar, I actually look at the fourth quarter as it's the first quarter, if that makes sense. Because you're growing, and then the first quarter is, all right, how much of that we're going to keep? So that's how I kind of look at it.
Retention.
Yeah. But, all right, but let's talk about, let's say you didn't have a great year. In fact, let's go extremely hard. Let's say you have a bad year. One of the worst years. How do you come back from that? Like mentally and statistically, how do you come back from that?
So I think the first thing is you got to take a long look. You've got to look at what you've done, right? So you're going to have to pull out reports. You're going to have to pull out your yearly trend reports, whether they're daily reports, whether they're monthly reports. You're going to have to find out exactly where your rough patches are, right? I mean, you don't fix a car by changing the tires and you have an engine problem. So you got to take a look at what's wrong and kind of takes, okay, this is where I lost. I didn't grow enough customers. I didn't grow enough rental revs. My fees were out to lunch. My back end, I got some past due customers that I just didn't reel in on time. What was that issue? And then kind of sit back in your chair and go, man, I cannot let that defeat me. Okay, so you don't be threatened by failure. Failure does not mean that your job is ending. It means that it's changing. All right. Everyone fails. And the difference is that not everyone gets back up and keeps trying. Failure is a mindset. So if you did something wrong, then the first thing you got to do is, okay, I can get through this. I can do this. I can change and figure out what's going on and then move on. That's part one. It's not the entire part, but it is the first part to look at and go, this is not going to defeat me. What am I going to do to make this better? And the first thing is, this failure is not going to define me.
Well, I think in addition to that, it's so funny how opposite we are. Because of course your go-to is look at the reports, look at the numbers, look at the analytical side of it, which it's a good thing. You want to do that, especially if you're reflecting on the year of productivity. But what I think is also just as equally as important is looking at yourself internally and self-evaluating, admitting your faults, admitting your mistakes, because this business is run off people. So if you fail, that means the team failed. I think you got to look at yourself and ask yourself, why did my team fail? Did I not provide proper training? Did I not give them enough guidance? Did I not delegate enough? Maybe I was trying to do everything myself and I didn't trust my staff to help me move the ball forward. Those are things you're going to have to look at. You have to look at your leadership skills. Do people want to work for me? Do they respect me? Do they look up to me and say, man, I want to be like him or her when I get to that position? I think that's all part of step one, is looking at the reports, looking at the statistics, of course, looking at yourself. What could I have done better to lead my team into victory?
Well, team evaluation is definitely the last part of part one, because you got to look at what you did wrong to make a difference. And then in my book, you got to see who's on board, because they got to be on board with you. You can't just change yourself and then your team stays the same, because everybody works together as a unit and everybody's got to change. We got to have that sense of unity. We grow together, we succeed together. And sometimes when the ball drops, we fail together. And what are we going to do as a group to make that change, to do that? I think the second part is really just taking responsibility for your part. You take responsibility for the part that you failed. And that's kind of what I was getting into when you were going to say that. What did I not do? It's what happened. And then what did I not do? And that's when I would kind of pull my staff into that thought process. And, we've talked a lot about it. And this year, I think our theme is training. Throughout the entire year, I think our team is going to be training, and not just training
and
new people.
Accountability.
Yeah. And, it's in every which way we can. And so taking responsibility for what you played in it or your part in it. Don't take it to the point where you're like, oh my God, this is all me. I sank the Titanic. Well, dude, if you had the binoculars, then maybe it is your fault, but you got to take a look at it and go, this is what I did. So with that being said, change your approach to doing the same job again, and always track the differences. What's the difference between what I did last week and what I'm going to do this week? What's the difference between my last 12 months and this 12 months? And it could be, that failure could be a year. It could be a month. It could be you didn't make it through the fourth quarter the way you wanted. It could be that you didn't grow the customers that you expected to in the last month or 2 months or 3 months or whatever goals. A lot of companies, they do forecasting. This is where we kind of expect you. This is where you've been growing. This is where your strong points are. This is where we expect the store to be. And when you don't make those forecasting numbers, man, I tell you, it's a defeat. Everybody goes through it. I've gone through it. I don't know if Super Danny's gone through it, but I've gone through it, and it's a hard feeling. But you got to put your pants back on like everybody else does, and stand up in the morning, get yourself ready, and attack the day with a different mindset.
I think it's very important when you're doing the team evaluating, you want to surround yourself with successful people. You want people with positive attitudes. You want people that buy into your vision, into your goal. And I think that's where a lot of managers end up failing, because I really don't believe it's really them per se. I think it has a lot to do with the team. And I think what the problem is, there's a lack of accountability, and they're scared to make the call on employees, maybe because they're not performing, but hey, they show up every day and we make excuses up. And again, I think that also goes into self-evaluating, like what am I doing wrong as a manager? I think that's a big part of it, because we've said it all the time, all last season, this business is all about people. It's about customers, it's about employees. So what are you doing to replace or retain? What are you doing to train, develop? And are you surrounding yourself with your internal group of all successful people that want to be the best account managers, people that want to be the best salespeople, drivers that want to be the best drivers? And then more importantly, then as let's say you are a manager, are you surrounding yourself with other successful managers? Because it's like that old saying goes, show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. Watch the company you keep. Are you associating with other managers that are not succeeding? You're going to fall into that trap. Or are you surrounding yourself with all these successful managers? Don't be intimidated. Try to get in with them. Try to become a little group. And talk about it. Reach out to them. What are you doing over there? Can give me some guidance. What would you do in this situation? And I think if you do that, and I'm going to use this as an example, I think that's why me and you are so successful, because we have each other to lean on. We're both successful in our own ways. We approach everything differently, but bottom line is we always have the same goal, the same destination. And I think that's why we work.
I think it's true. I think you always got to find somebody. You don't want to echo chamber, right? You don't want everybody to be like, hey man, I understand and I agree with you. I understand what you're saying and I'm on board with you. And it's not being a yes man, but sometimes when you have too many people that think in the same direction, you don't come across that extra thought. The process is something that'll challenge the way you think so that you can change it for the better. And I don't know if it just applies to GMs too. I mean, listen, guys, if you're a driver, if you're an account manager, if you're a salesperson, make sure that you surround yourself with successful people, positive-minded people, and don't be afraid to reach out to your peers, because as an account manager, there's definitely more account managers in the arena than there are GMs, right? There are definitely probably more, or at least the same amount of salespeople in the arena. So don't just hold yourself out to one particular thing. Reach out to everybody. I mean, there could be some good people out there, and not necessarily just on the management tip, but it could be anywhere. Call that number one salesperson. And sometimes I'm going to tell you, sometimes they tell you the things that you already know, you're just not applying. And they believe in it in a different way than you do. And they apply it in a different way than you do. And that's what makes them a little bit more successful. And it helps you come out of those hard times. But, finding inspiration through others and surrounding yourself with positive people is definitely a way to get out of that hole that you put yourself in mentally. When you're coming out of failure and you keep going, you got to remember that the first part is hard, man. It's like anything. Those first few steps are the hardest. It's like taking a hit and then getting back up and walking it off. That walking it off requires the first two steps. And those steps, you feel them. You're going to feel them. You're going to be in your head. You're going to be, you're going to be achy a little bit. God, I did this wrong. I did that. Don't kill yourself. Learn from it. Now, you never want to say, don't go over it, right? Don't go over what happened. No, you gotta look at it and say, okay, this is what I did, or that's what I did, or this is what I felt, or this is the leadership that I provided that wasn't great. But then after that, get out of that mindset. Like, don't get stuck there, right? And, don't give up. It's easy to do, but it's hard to come back from. Getting to the same place again, if you've gone so far and then you just give up and then so you have to start over, man, it's twice as hard work to kind of get your mindset back to where it was. Don't fall backwards. Don't give up. Always stay the course. And I think that's another thing that, it's hard. It's easy to say, harder to do. Yeah, you get hit. Yeah, things stink. But if you don't keep on walking, if you don't put one foot in front of the other, if you don't keep on going towards a goal, if you don't admit to yourself, yeah, this wasn't a good idea. This wasn't a good idea. Or you talk to your team and you guys agree, man, we thought it was great. It sounded great on paper, but it sucked. Nah, let's not do that again.
I think you also have to be mindful and not so proud, but you're going to have to change your ways if you did fail. And after you evaluate and figure out why you failed, then one of the next steps is changing what actions to take place, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. You got to change it up. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. Took him 1,000 tries before being successful. And when he was asked, how does it feel knowing you failed 999 times? His response was, I didn't fail. I just learned 999 ways how not to make a light bulb. So right there, perfect example of inspiration is even though he was quote unquote failing, he didn't see it as a failure. He just saw it as a life lesson. I'm just learning how not to make a light bulb. And he kept moving. He then also kept changing things until he got the right formula, the right bulb, the right whatever, the right current, so he got the light bulb. And I think that's an important step as well to you're going to have to change it up. You're going to have to change it. You're going to have to go through the uncomfortableness and change it up.
Okay, with all clarity, I just want to say this public service announcement. If you fail 999 times in rent to own, you might not get another chance. So take that as this is what you should try to learn from, and don't take 999 times. Okay, just wanted to give you a heads up.
Let's take a quick break.
Hey everyone, it's Pete Chow here from the RTO Show podcast, and I want to tell you about a company that's making a real difference in the rent-to-own space. Wow Brands. I've seen firsthand how they approach marketing. And let me tell you, it's not just about ads. Wow Brands builds complete digital ecosystems designed specifically for the rent-to-own industry. Their e-commerce and lead generation strategies are built to bring in qualified leads. And did I mention that they are actively working with the rent-to-own industry while also being members of APRO and TRIB? Listen, these folks are passionate problem solvers. They don't just slap something together, they design, build, and scale the kind of digital retail tools your business needs and your customers actually want. So if you're serious about growing, reach out to Wow Brands at wowbrands.com. I trust them, and I think you will too.
Well, let's talk about that as well, because I call it getting benched. I've known several people to get demoted, get put into a different position, maybe get transferred to a different location because they weren't being that successful. If you get benched, don't take it so personal. You should make it a personal goal to get off the bench. But, players get benched all the time for different reasons, injuries, statistical reasons. And I guess it falls into, don't give up, I love movie quotes. You know this, Pete. I love movie quotes so much. And here comes another one. And we even listened to this one the other day in my manager's meeting. It was the Rocky Balboa speech. I'm going to shorten it for you, but, he says, life isn't about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And that's how winning is done. I love that speech, but, that's what it is. You're going to take your lumps.
If you guys haven't looked at that speech, I'm going to start putting these on our website as Danny's go-to montage speeches from movies. So we're going to have Denzel Washington and Rocky Balboa on there. But, I'm going to create a page just for Danny's speeches. But, when you're looking to overcome failure and you're looking to get through it, you have to it's got to be a learned lesson. So if you are going to get benched, if you are being moved, if something's going to change, one of the go-to things might be to sit down with whatever management staff that you have, or sit down with the person making those decisions and really come across the why, and not necessarily question the situation like, why did you make this decision? Because I'm better than that. No, it's what did I not do, or where did I not perform, or what could I have done better, or what circumstances led to this decision that I'm coming here? Because given the chance again, I don't want to make those same mistakes. Study yourself, right? Study yourself and take action. Be candid about what you might be doing wrong. Don't be afraid of a second opinion. Don't be afraid to go to somebody else and say, hey, man, what do you think I'm doing? And be honest, and be able to be honest with them, and them be honest with you. They might give you some feedback that might hurt. But the thing is that nobody, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. Well, you can't get better without realizing your faults. And, when you're overcoming failure, sometimes you have to understand that overcoming failure means looking in the mirror and going, wow, that wasn't right. That wasn't right. That was my call. It wasn't a good call. Going back to the team thing, when you mentioned it before, and we always use those analogies, Michael Jordan, to me, you guys can say whatever or do whatever. I still think he's the GOAT as far as basketball is concerned. But I can tell you this. He did not do it alone. Whether he had a defensive title, whether he had a rebound, whether he was on, the Olympic team, no matter what it was, he never did it alone. And as much as I care about him being the GOAT at the time when I was watching basketball and I thought it was the greatest, you put Michael Jordan against 5 guys by himself and he will be eaten alive. So you got to remember that, it is a team sport. No matter how you look at it, it is a team sport. Now, if you get benched, sometimes teams aren't doing too good. Right now, the Bucks are probably having their hands full with what's going on, even though they are 8-8. They didn't do so great this season. And I hear a lot of people talking about the management staff. So when the team's not performing, somebody's going to pay that price. And it's not necessarily like you're fired, but it's, hey, man, you need to step back. You need to step back and take an evaluation.
But they're not giving up.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, if I was getting paid a salary like that, I wouldn't give up either. But what I will say is you guys got to understand that giving up is not moving forward. Giving up is just that, giving up. And you've got to take a long look at what you got going. How long do you plan on being in this business? How long do you plan on being in any business? Because failure is a part of it. I can tell you right now that some of the people that we look up to and some of the people that we have going on, if they didn't have failures, they wouldn't be where they were. And I take that very seriously. One thing that I can tell you again is keep looking ahead. Because if you stay stuck in the rear view, you will kill your momentum. It's not always about what's behind you or what you're in, but you got to keep your eyes focused on the future. Keep your eyes focused on the ball. Keep your eyes focused on the goal. When you're trying to overcome failure, don't stay in that moment. Learn from it and then move on. Keep your eyes forward and keep your eyes on the goal of what you plan on doing. Make sure that you track that and then show the differences. I mean, you've got to get ahead.
No, that's a perfect example. And if you guys haven't already listened, a couple weeks ago, we just did an episode about how to set goals and what we recommend, how to do it from short term to long term. And that's exactly, now you're taking the action step to not become a failure this year? How are we going to overcome? How are we going to succeed? Is by creating that action plan, is by setting those goals and long term, and then you break them down to short term, and then you just stay on it. Week after week, day after day, you just stay on it. You keep looking at it, you keep going after it, staying in a positive mindset that you're going to get there. That's how you overcome failure. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you need to do.
Well, I can tell you that if you failed due to lack of marketing, we have a sponsor for that. And our sponsor today will give you the heads up and the how-to on how to grow your social media. And now a quick word from our sponsor. Unlimited Marketing Solutions is a social media marketing company that can market directly to your specific customer base and provide solid and trackable results. Unlimited Marketing Solutions are also extremely flexible to meet your unique needs and budget and are currently running a promotion for 10% discount off your first 6 months of marketing when you mention the code RTO Show. That's RTOSHOW when you call them at 352-553-3245. You can also email them at unlimitedmarketingsolutions@gmail.com. And now back to the podcast. Last but not least, in my book, when you're looking at things, take inspiration from your failures. When you take inspiration from your failures, that might sound like an oxymoron, but here, when you're taking a look at it, use that fuel. Where did I not go? And then I circled back around to, I pulled my reports. I found out where I wasn't doing so good. I talked to people, my team, and I talked to my management team. Not only my team to tell them that where we've been, but where we're going. I talked to my management team to find out what I didn't do correctly or did correctly. I talked to my peers to find out what made them successful, and maybe they're doing the things that I'm not doing. And then you take inspiration from that. I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to allow this to stop me. I'm not going to take my failure and let that define me. I'm going to use that fuel and I'm going to stick that in my fire and I'm going to burn bright as hell because tomorrow is a different day. My approach to it is different. And I can tell you this, and I will tell you guys this from personal experience. I have been dropped down. I have been transferred. An hour and a half in an opposite direction when I worked an hour and a half in that direction. So a 3-hour spread. I have been knocked down positions. I have been knocked down places. And if I would have never learned from the situation, I would not be here. And I'm not saying that I'm the business head story. What I'm saying is don't let other things kill your drive. Don't let it take from you. In chess, you are not going to win with every single piece on the board. It is impossible. But you can win with just 2 players. Just 2. Because I think you can't beat a king and a king. But you can't beat a king with one other piece. That's a lot of pieces to lose. And you got to remember that. You're not going to take everything with you. You will lose. At some point, you will lose some pieces. But you can still win the game.
I would say one of my last steps to overcome failure is a couple things. I want to learn as much as I can on how to improve myself. I like to read a lot of self-help books. I like to listen to self-help podcasts. And that's something I would recommend is always work on yourself mentally, spiritually, and physically. Because by doing so, you release a lot of stress. And stress is a killer, man. That leads to heart attacks, strokes. Nobody needs that. Always work on yourself on a daily basis. I want you to read as much as possible. Do your homework. Find out what previous managers did at your location, how they became successful, or other managers at other locations. Always try to learn. But the last bit is this. You can take all these notes. You can admit your faults. You can read inspirational quotes. You can read self-help books. You can set goals. You can replace your staff. You could do all of it. But if you don't believe in yourself, when you're looking at the goal that you made, if you have an ounce of doubt, you're already setting yourself up to fail again. You cannot doubt yourself. You look at these goals and you have to subconsciously and undoubtedly believe, no, we're going to get there. And you need to manifest that. I'm really into this book. I know I've said it a couple of times. You guys really got to read it. The Secret, the Power. The positive output you put into the universe, you will receive back. And if you believe in yourself with the right attitude and your mindset, you're already halfway there. If you believe you're going to fail, you're already halfway there. So you got to believe in yourself, believe in your staff, and just move forward. I mean, we said it 1,000 times already in this past 20 minutes or so. Don't give up.
Don't give up. So in a recap, don't be threatened by your failure. Don't get stuck in it. Review where you went wrong so you don't repeat the cycle. Take responsibility and learn from it. Change your approach. Track the differences. Talk to your staff and peers. Talk to the people around you. Find inspiration through others and surround yourself with positive people. Don't give up. It's easy to do, but hard to get back from. Study yourself, take actions, and be candid you might be doing wrong. Don't be afraid of a second opinion. Keep looking forward. Take inspiration from your failures. Listen to the Rocky meme. Read Danny's books and get ahead. And listen, guys, we all know that it's a hard place to be at, but it's a better place to come from. If you've never failed, you will never know the taste of success. It's there when you've gone through it. If you get it, if you win all the time, you don't know how to lose. When you lose and then you're successful, that's a win because you turned it around, and that's what happens. And that's what this is all about. That's what a Rent-to-Own is about, man. It's about overcoming your losses.
You know, if you would have told me a couple of years ago that we would be here at a trade show recording a podcast, I'd probably think you're crazy. But here we are, and I believe that we're here. We've gone through some failures, we've gone through some lumps, but we learned from it, we overcame them, and we put a goal in action. Remember, I'll never forget this. I want to say it was 2020 or 21. It was at FRDA, and me and you were talking about this like, man, we want to go to shows. We want to speak at shows. You put it into motion, and you don't give up, and you keep moving forward. Success will always be at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, success is a journey. It's not a destination, right? You've got to walk the walk to get to where you're going.
I agree.
You know, talking about different things, a little time has passed now, but we talked to Max Hernandez from Buddy's Home Furnishings on Armenia in Tampa.
That's right.
And we stopped by and we want to talk to him as our who said what. We didn't get it recorded on film, so guys, we just gotta take our word for it. But we talked to Max, and 17 years of experience at Buddy's. Congratulations to Max for 17 solid years.
What?
And a couple things that we talked about. And one of the main things that we wanted to talk about, there's 5 questions, and we'll just go over some information. But you know, his big tip was service. Service is going to be the number one way that we're going to get through this next year. Service with a smile, right? Customer service and keeping it up is one of the big things that he has. And we talked to him about a couple of things that we're probably going to have on the next podcast. But that was the difficulty with some products, man. Sometimes we come across some crazy things. And we'll probably have this in another episode. But e-bikes and stream boxes. And he loves them. But some of you guys out there have problems with them. So, you know, there's going to be some tips and tricks on how to get through that. But those are eccentric items that people love. They're going to. I mean, e-bikes and stream boxes are on the rise, and we're going to take a look at that. But we're probably at some point in time going to face a little bit of adversity into this next year. You know, the job market's changing. There's a possible recession looming. Inflation's on the rise. How are we going to face it? Well, there's going to be a change in the atmosphere, and Max has his idea of what's going to happen. But basically, he's going to get through it with customer service, keeping them happy, keeping them on the books, and letting them know that regardless of what he does have available, he's always going to have those core items that's going to push to keep them set up. Whether it be the washer and dryers, whether it be the ranges, whether it be the TVs and bedrooms, or just the beds. Those core items he thinks is going to get them through 2023. Thanks, Max, for talking to us for a little while and just taking the time to see us and who said what. But Danny, I think that it's going to be a crazy year. I think it's coming. But I think the success of Rent-to-Own is going to shine through.
I think we're going to come out on top. I really do. I think it's going to be a struggle. I think it's going to be hard work. But I think if we face adversity together as a team with our action plan and our goals, and we stick together and we just keep moving forward, I think this time next year we're going to say, hey, that was one rough year, but we made it.
Well, you know, what's funny is that Rent-to-Own is generally more successful because we have the products, we have the ability to reach the products that people need, and they don't have to be as financially set as they do in some other areas.
Correct.
So I think it's going to be a good time for Rent-to-Own to shine. And like Max said, that customer service, when you come through and you show them this is what I can do for you, and it's not going to cost you any extra, whether you do it weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, however it's set up and whatever you go to and whomever you go to, man, this is the business that's going to take care of our customers and our people and our areas for the 2023 year.
Guys, if you're not already, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at The RTO Show. You can go to our website at www.thertoshowpodcast.com. You can check out our latest commercial YouTube videos. You can download and listen to our current episodes, our past episodes. Make sure you download. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode when we release them. And if you want to reach out to us with any questions or comments, you can contact us at pete@thertoshowpodcast.com. Or you can reach out to me directly as well at danny@thertoshowpodcast.com. Thank you so much for continuously to listen to us and follow our show. We love doing this.
Well, don't forget, we got some merchandise on the site, right? So if you guys want to look stylish and cool in the 2023 year, make sure that you go to the website. We are changing the website; it's getting revamped all the time. But take a look at the shirts. We're going to have a couple other things on there. If you want to look great to your next RTO meeting, you should be wearing the RTO Show t-shirt and show everybody how cool you are because you listen to the RTO Show podcast. And that last tidbit of information you got from us, and that would be awesome. And if you want to be on the show, then you can email us, and then we might even put you on the show.
So look forward to everybody commenting, emailing us. Thank you guys very much. With that being said, this is the RTO Show with Danny and Pete.